why you should not tell a man everything about you, and 5 things you should definitely keep for yourself. This is what today's video is about, and the reason I'm making this video is because this topic has sparked a lot of controversy when I mentioned it in a previous video about high-value women boundaries, where I said that one of the boundaries high-value women must have is to keep certain things for themselves and not share them with their man. If you want to watch this video, you can click on the link that appears on the top right corner of the screen. I still stand by what I said, and I'm going to explain why there are certain things you should never tell a man in this video, even when you are in a committed long-term relationship. The reason why this topic is so controversial is because many women were raised to believe that there should be no secrets in a relationship and that it is a form of dishonesty not to disclose everything to your partner. But I'm here to tell you that this is not true. In fact, I say that this kind of radical self-disclosure is not always the healthiest or the safest thing to do and can backfire on you. You first need to realize the danger of walking in relationships like an open book. You don't really know who you are dealing with sometimes 3 years into a relationship, and you are literally exposing yourself by sharing your deepest secrets and giving your trust to a man without waiting for him to earn it. I have seen countless of stories where secrets were used against people after relationships have broken down. Everything you say can be used against you when feelings change, and how someone feels about you will inevitably change over time. What can happen, and trust me, it does happen, is that the things you said when you felt safe and vulnerable to share will become arguments and proof that you are the bad person. For example, you may have told the story of an ex leaving you and breaking your heart after he cheated on you with a coworker. That very story can quickly become, you see, your ex left you for another woman because he could not stand living with you. Also, you must understand that keeping some things for yourself is not being dishonest. Dishonesty to me is telling lies, but you deciding to keep things for yourself in order to protect yourself, that's not being dishonest. That's being selective of what you want others to know about you and when you want them to know it. When it comes to relationships, you have to protect yourself until you are given solid reasons to put your guards down. Another reason for keeping certain things for yourself is that men are just human beings, and it's part of human nature to judge others. They will judge you, even subconsciously, based on what you tell them and how it affects their perception of you. And as I will explain further in this video, the main thing that men will judge you on unfavorably is your past relationships. So how many partners you had, what kind of partners you had, and what kind of relationships you had. And it's really unfair to be judged based on the past, because you may no longer be the same person who had these experiences. You may have become a completely different person, right? So now that we got this out of the way, here are the 5 things you should never tell a man, in my opinion. Number 1, never tell a man about your past relationship traumas. A lot of people, especially women, use their partners as a substitute for their therapist or their best friend. It's kind of natural and human to do that. They are the closest person to you, so you naturally lean towards them and feel safe to share your feelings and open up about your past traumas. The issue here is that you are revealing very intimate things that are actually your weak spots. And when you become so open about your weaknesses, you give power to the other person and you open the possibility for them to harm you someday. You're essentially revealing your wounds and showing the person exactly where to press if and when they want to hurt you one day. And looking at the very low success rate of modern relationships, I can say that statistically speaking, most relationships are not meant to last a lifetime. So it's not wise to work with the assumption that every man you will encounter could be the one, therefore it's safe to tell him your secrets. It's best to think ahead and not give the other person so much power that they can use, and you don't even know in which way they can use it against you when things go downhill. For example, having been in a toxic relationship with a narcissist may get your current partner to sympathize with you and feel sorry for you at first. But let's say someday he feels hurt or disrespected by your behavior. He may accuse you of being the toxic person and may use your past relationship as an example and support an argument for his claim, and even if it's totally untrue and you really were the victim in your previous relationship. Number 2, how many partners you had before. If you ask men which option they prefer between a woman who slept with 100 men and one who had 1 or 2 partners, I'm pretty sure the majority of men will pick option 2. Men judge women who had many partners, who slept with many people, and they prefer someone who did not have that many experiences. The evolutionary argument for that is that someone who had multiple sexual partners is more likely to carry STIs, and a man can never be sure of their offspring, if the child is theirs or not. And although we are way ahead of these times now, some parts of the brain, the reptilian brain mostly, hasn't evolved that much and is still wired the same way it was thousands of years ago. And this is why men are still judging women on their partner count and their sexual history. So the solution here is not to limit yourself to one or two partners, because, as a woman, you also need to go out there and explore before you can find someone who's suitable for you. But you should avoid sharing this exploration journey with your partner. Your partner does not need to know. There is really no benefits in him knowing. It doesn't add any value to anyone, and some men will stupidly resent you for telling them about your history. Number 3, hide your wealthy background. Now, I appreciate that this advice is practically inapplicable when you are in a long-term relationship, so it is mostly for the dating phase and newly formed relationships. And the reason you want to hide your wealthy background if you come from money is that people and men will perceive you differently if they realize that you're wealthy. It's just human nature. And the thing in relationship is that it can influence if they want to be with you or not. The extent to which wealth can play a role varies from person to person, but it still influences people. There are obvious benefits of being with someone with such a background. People like to pretend that they don't really care about someone's background and if they come from money or not, but the truth is they do care. So if you come from a wealthy background and the man you start dating comes to know it, you can't quite be sure if he really likes you for who you are, or if your wealthy background made him like you a little bit more. For example, I know a man who married a woman who is from some aristocratic French family, quite wealthy, who I know for a fact that he does not really love her, and he's not even aware himself of the fact that he doesn't really love her, but he convinced himself that he does because big money is hard to ignore or even resist. Men and women have been marrying for status for centuries, so it's hardly wired in people's brain to look for status. I do appreciate that men tend to care less about a woman's background, but I notice nowadays that they do care more than ever before. Men also want to live the high life, and it's just easier to achieve with a woman who comes with a nice package of wealth. Another drawback to him knowing your background is that he will expect, again, subconsciously or consciously, from you to contribute financially at least 50%, if not more. And the day you break up after being in a relationship, he will fight harder over any financial issues because he will always have at the back of his mind that you are better off than him financially. Number 4, how much money you make. Again, for the same reasons, you don't want to tell a man exactly how much you earn, how much money you have in your bank account, because you will run into the same issue as point number 3. You will never know if he wants you for you or for the paycheck that you are bringing. To me, it's more than enough for a man to see that you have a job and that you're able to take care of yourself financially, but there is no reason for him to know exactly how much money you make unless he wants to include that money into his financial projections. Now, of course, if you are in a long-term relationship, it is a bit different, but I'm talking here about the dating phase and newly formed relationships. You better keep your financial status secret until you figure out a man's intentions fully. Number 5, never compare a man to an ex-boyfriend. To me, it is offensive and disrespectful to compare someone with an ex. For that reason, you should really not compare a man to an ex, and you should not even mention the ex for that matter. Some people do it out of lack of social intelligence, but sometimes a woman does it subconsciously to create some sort of triangle between a man and an ideal image of an ex and put her current partner in a competitive state. Maybe because she is still attached to the ex and she wants her man to become like him, or because it is a learned behavior of always putting people in competitive states so that they can prove their love to her. In any case, it is quite unhealthy, which is why you should really make it as a rule to avoid any form of comparison with an ex. If you compare your man to an ex, you will create bad insecurity in him that will make him resent you and can destroy your relationship. So make sure to never say to your man things such as, "My ex was like this," My ex made me feel a certain way. My ex used to do these things for me. No man wants to live in another man's shadow. Number 6, if you are still just dating, don't tell him that you want a relationship. In other words, don't reveal your cards and your intentions. First off, I really do believe that men are the gatekeepers of a relationship. Other dating coaches who tell you that women also decide when to have a relationship is a lie, in my opinion. If you tried to have a relationship with a man who did not want you, you know what I'm talking about. This is why I think from a strategic point of view, you should let him decide if he wants a relationship with you or not, and give him the illusion that he is the one who decides by not revealing your intentions and not showing your cards. If he does not make any move, it's likely that he has already made up his mind about you and he doesn't want to have a relationship with you. A lot of women are not aware of that, but dating is actually a game. And the danger of not being aware of that fact is that you don't get to know the rules and play by the rules, and it will inevitably lead to you losing. In dating, you need to know the rules and to be strategic. Men that you meet on dates are not your friends. They don't owe you anything. They are indifferent to how you feel until they decide to start building something with you. Until then, you should treat them as you would treat a stranger and not trust them with your feelings. All of that is to say that during the initial phase, it's up to him to tell you if he wants to see you again and wants a relationship with you. Even if you have made up your mind before he did, do not tell him. Remember what I said earlier, women are gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of relationships. Thanks for watching.